That's the denatured alcohol approach, right? That's what we do with alcohol. We already do that with alcohol. We actually do put something in alcohol to make it so it's very bad for you to drink it. Okay? What? Now, that would be horrible if we did it for all alcohol, right? So I think this works much more effective. Again, you got to make demand elastic enough, right? Because that's a real tax. That's very much like this, right? This height is then the death probability or whatever, right? This is the chance of death. But it better be elastic enough demand that people don't take the poison drugs. Now, how do you make it demand more elastic? One is to choose which drugs you do it to. That is, not try to get rid of all drugs, but say, well, geez, I can get rid of this drug by poisoning it as long as people have good enough substitutes, namely other drugs. But if I tried to poison all drugs, I'd be really worried that even if there's a small fraction of people left, the total cost might rise. No, but then the effectiveness is proportionately reduced too, right? No, you need to kill the market, though. That's the key. It's back to elasticity. You need the response to be elastic enough, right? Because this rectangle in that context is nothing more than the people who end up consuming it anyway and getting killed, right? Because that's where, in your simple example, where the only thing I did was make these booby-trapped Stinger missiles or these poison drugs, this rectangle is exactly the people who get killed, right? The size of that rectangle is the guys who get killed from the poison drugs and the booby-trapped missiles. That's only a good idea if demand is elastic enough. Now, in the case of terrorists, you might think killing them has its own value. So if they, you'd be even happier if they still bought them and got blown up, right? That would be like double benefit. You'd not only get fewer missiles sold, you'd kill some terrorists in the process. We don't generally apply that to drug consumers. We don't generally say, well, geez, we'd kill a bunch of them, and wouldn't that be good, right? I mean, yes. Their claims, I don't know how much evidence there is. This forbidden fruit effect is the one that people often talk about in the positive direction. I think there are. I think it's pretty clear that you can have some effect in the other direction as well. That, people obey rules partly because they don't like violating rules. Now, there's another cost, though. I think there's another effect, which is once people start violating some rules, then they might start violating other rules. And therefore, you got to factor that in. That is, once I've decided I'm going to consume illegal drugs and I start visiting people who engage in illegal activities, well, while I'm there, might as well do more illegal stuff, right? I mean, that's not an all unreasonable idea. You start associating with a different crowd, you start doing things different than you would otherwise. You got to factor that in too. So I wouldn't just limit it to this good. I think this is a bit like we talked about last time, which is I give you the ability to lie to people. You got to think about the broader implications. And I think that's the same thing that happens with prohibitions. I think it's very dangerous to have a system in which a big segment of society is engaged in illegal activity, because that, I think, facilitates other illegal activities for these kind of scale effects again. There's a kind of a fixed cost element to dealing in these kind of areas.